few months ago, I posted a video trying to see how many PlayStation Platinum trophies I could get in 30 days as an inexperienced trophy hunter. After that video, I didn't post much on Platinum trophies aside from 2 videos, not because I don't like trophy hunting, in fact I really enjoy it, but I barely had time to go after Platinum trophies since I am a full-time student with a part-time job. However, with another school semester done and being on break, I wanted to put my trophy hunting skills to the test once again. Although it hasn't been that long since I did the 30-day challenge, I still want to see how much I've improved if at all. This time, however, I didn't want to do the same 30-day challenge all over again, so I decided to do a 1-week challenge this time instead. This time around, to ensure that I didn't break any rules like I did in the last video, I gave myself only one rule. Every game must be at 0% completion when started, and got rid of the rule of having to finish every game I start no matter what. That way, if for some reason I couldn't stick to finishing the game, whether it be because of time or stuff to do with the game itself, I could stop and move on to the next game. Also, since the challenge only lasted a week instead of 30 days like the last time, I will only do games with a short platinum trophy this time. While I know about games out there that have a very short platinum that you can literally get in minutes or less than an hour, I refuse to do those since otherwise it will make this challenge very easy and frankly not enjoyable. The purpose of this challenge is to play games I've been meaning to play and happen to have a short platinum trophy time. And trust me, none of those titles are actually titles that I've been wanting to play. The challenge started on Monday, May 15 at 10 PM, and it will end on Monday, May 22nd at 10 PM. This time around, I made sure to pick days that I knew I would mostly be free aside from work. Once I had everything set and ready to go, it was time to start the challenge. The first game I played was Undertale, a game which I have heard a lot of good things about and have been wanting to play for a while, but never really got around to it. I was very excited to play it, hence why I started off the challenge with it. From the start, the game had me hooked. Being stranded in an unknown world as a kid and having no idea where to go or who to trust as I made my way along routes that just felt right was surprisingly very enjoyable and just made me want to keep on playing. Every place I went to and every character I met along the way were super interesting. As I learned more about the world and the characters, I started liking the game more and more. The game itself wasn't too hard compared to what I had heard, but that might have been because of the choices I made throughout the game. The only boss that really gave me trouble was Mafet. I was stuck on her for hours trying to beat her but just couldn't. Every time I would get really close to beating her, I would end up getting hit by multiple of her attacks and dying. Then, after almost 3 hours, I finally beat her. Oh my god, finally! Oh my god! I was so happy to finally move on with the rest of the game and felt confident that I could finish it in one sitting after that. Then, as I was making my way through the last building, I encountered an enemy. I was low on health and had no more healing items, so I had to be able to get past him without getting hit. But of course, I ended up getting hit right away by his first attack and I was killed. This won't be a big deal since I can just make my way back right away from the save point, right? Well, except I didn't save after defeating Mofet. Knowing this, my heart sank as the game over screen took over my monitor. I really hope that it won't send me all the way back there, and that if it did, I at least won't have to fight Mofet again. After hitting continue, I found myself on that save point right before Mofet. I walked slowly towards Mofet's room only to hear that laughter of hers right as I stepped on her webs. As she started coming down from the ceiling, I closed my eyes and held my forehead in defeat. At this point, it was about to be 5 AM and I could feel my eyes getting heavy, so I decided to put the game down and continue with it the next day. The next day, I once again loaded up the game and got ready to spend hours once again on Mofet, but surprisingly this time it only took me 3 tries to beat her. Maybe it was because I have fought her so many times by now that her moves became a lot easier to dodge. After defeating Mofet, the rest of the game wasn't so bad. I got through the rest of the areas with ease. And actually, fun fact, you don't actually need to beat the game to get the platinum. So after I made it to the last boss door, I got the platinum, and with that, the first game of the challenge was finished. Don't you have anything better to do? There it is. After a 30-minute break, I started the next game. Untitled Goose game, as the title says, it's a game where you get to play as a goose. But instead of doing normal goose things like just strolling through the water or spreading your wings. No, wait, actually, you can also do that. But well, besides those things, you get to go into a city and mess with the people in it by stealing their stuff and getting them into unfortunate but funny scenarios. Each area in the game has a list of tasks that you must complete before moving on to the next area. The trophies for this game were pretty straightforward, as most of them were just completing all the tasks in every area, along with other miscellaneous trophies, which just involved messing with people even more. The only challenging trophies were the time-limited trophies, which required me to finish all the tasks in every area in under 7 minutes. But other than that, it was a very enjoyable experience that had me smiling from start to finish. After finishing Untitled Goose game, I noticed it was 11:45 PM, which meant the second day had already started, so I went ahead and started the next game right away. Coffee Talk is a game about a coffee shop that is open at night. You play as the owner and barista of the shop and interact with all the interesting characters that come to the shop and learn more about them and their life while making them whatever drink they ask for. Learning about each character was super interesting and gave me wanting to play more and learn more about them. The trophies for this game weren't too hard, as I just needed to play through the story and serve the correct drinks. Though there was one interesting trophy which required me to draw on a latte for 1 real life hour. So I drew a few lines, put my controller down and walked away and did something else while I left the game running in the background for an hour. It was interesting to me because I had never played a game which had a trophy like that. Although the estimated time to get this trophy according to PSN profiles was 2 hours, it ended up taking me about 5.5. So by the time I finished it, it was past 6 PM Tuesday, or the second day. Since I knew I had work on Thursday, I wanted to get through as many games as I could before then. So after a 30-minute break, I started playing Stray. This was a game that had got my eyes since the first time it was announced, and the game I had been looking forward to the most in this challenge. I mean, I love cats, and I love exploring new worlds while learning more about them, and this game combined both things, so I have been looking forward to it for a long time. In Stray, you are a cat who moves around with a pack. After an accident, you get separated from your pack and end up in a city underground that seems to have been abandoned and has been overtaken by some kind of bugs called Zurks, and robots who have succumbed to the Zurks. You work yourself through the city and find a small robot who helps you and becomes your companion on your journey. After leaving the city, you end up in another city, only this one is not infested with Zurks, and all the robots are alive and living a relatively peaceful life. In this city, you meet a robot who tells you about how to reach the world outside. You must climb through all the cities until you reach a station where the gate to the outside world is. As you make your way through each city, you meet new robots who help you along the way. I love this game. Exploring everything and doing things as a cat would do, like scratching, meowing, and climbing onto places made me feel like I was really a cat. The developers did an amazing job, from the world building to the characters. This game was such a joy to play, and the trophies weren't that hard to get. Well, aside from the trophy for which I had to run through a group of Zurks without getting caught by them. I was struggling a lot and was stuck trying to get this trophy for more than an hour. It's a good thing after getting past that and making it to the second city, I was able to get a trophy where I had to sleep in game for 1 real life hour. This meant that once again, after putting the cat to sleep, I would put my controller down and walk away from my desk for an hour. I was glad I could take an hour break after struggling so much on that one trophy. I thought about watching anime to pass the time, but after laying in bed, I ended up falling asleep for about an hour and a half myself. After I woke up, the trophy had already been unlocked by then, so I picked up my controller and kept on playing through the game. After finishing my first playthrough of Stray, I only have 1 trophy left, which required me to beat the game in a new playthrough under an hour. But at this point, it was already past 3 AM and I felt really tired, so I decided to get the trophy the next day before going to work. The next day, I managed to get the last trophy right before going to work. Then, that night after work, I started my next game. Deliver Us the Moon is a short game where you play as an astronaut who must activate devices at different stations with the help of a robot to deliver energy for humans to use. As someone who has always been fascinated by the unknown, exploring space and learning more about it has always been something that intrigued me. So getting to play a game where I could do things like walk on the moon and travel through space was great. Overall, it was a great experience. I also naturally got all the trophies as I played through the game, except for one that required me to read every comic in the game. I found out I was missing one after finishing the story. After replaying through 4 chapters and reading the comics in each, the trophy wasn't unlocked yet. Then I loaded chapter 1 and turned out the comic I had missed was the comic that was right to my left as soon as the game started. The one I missed was the very first one. Okay. Well, I started this game on Thursday night. I didn't get the platinum for it until Friday morning right before going to work. Then that night after work, I wanted to play a less serious game where I could just play it and not really have to think much. And that also didn't require much time to platinum, since I knew I wouldn't be able to really play games the next day, since unlike Friday and Thursday, I would be at work all day. So I decided to play Ice Age, Scrat's Naughty Adventure, a game about none other than Scrat. I loved the Ice Age movies, so this was also like a trip down memory lane for me. The game itself wasn't perfect, it was just your everyday 3D platformer with some fighting mechanics. It wasn't hard at all, but it was still fun, and the trophies were simple. The only tedious trophy I had to get, not because it was hard, but because it took a while, was getting all the collectibles, since some collectibles weren't unavailable until after getting every ability. To get abilities, I had to beat every level in the game, and each level had 4 sub-levels to beat. So having to play through the entire game, then go back through every level to get every collectible took a while. Because of this, I didn't get the platinum until Saturday night after I got back from work. The P is silent. And Ice Game, I Saw, Ice Conquer. At this point, I only had 2 days left of the challenge, and I had earned 6 platinum trophies. My plan was to at least earn 5, so I had already reached my goal by now, but I still wanted to see how many more I could earn, so I started playing Little Nightmares, a game that a friend had recommended me to play, and I had played halfway through already on Nintendo-Switch, but never got around to finishing it. However, after playing the game for about 2 hours or so, it crashed. I quickly closed it and reopened it, only for my progress to get deleted. This meant I had to start the game all over again. This was a little frustrating, and since I had expected the game to take me pretty much the entire day because of a speedrun trophy which would require me to beat the game under an hour, and I wasn't confident that I could do it, so I decided that for time's sake I would start another game instead. What Remains of Edith Finch was a fantastic game. It had me glued to the screen from start to finish. In the game, you play from the point of view of someone narrating their story as they go back to their old family house where they lost a lot of loved ones, making your way through the house and finding secret passages to get to the rooms of everyone who used to live there, and looking around their rooms to learn more about them and about their passing. Learning about everyone's story from their point of view made me feel connected and sympathize with every character even more. I found myself constantly thinking that each new story I learned was my favorite one, only to be replaced with the next story. Every story was great, and this game overall was such an amazing experience. If I were to pick what game from this challenge was my favorite one, it will have to be this one. While all the games were great, this one stuck with me the most, and it made me want more of it even after I had finished it, to the point that I didn't even realize I only had 2 trophies left after playing through it because of how engrossed I was in it.
Strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing.
After getting the platinum for What Remains of Edith Finch, since it was past 7 PM on Sunday, I decided to play a game on the shortest side that I could finish that night. So I took a chance and downloaded a random game from the PlayStation Plus extra catalog. Omno is a game where you explore different worlds with different creatures, and you activate towers in each world using light you gather scattered throughout to travel to the next world. The game reminded me a lot of Journey, since from the beginning I was just thrown into a world with no clear purpose other than to explore and find the light. I feel like there really isn't much more to say about the game, as like I said, the story itself is not exactly clear, but the game itself was beautiful and it was a very enjoyable surprise. The Enlightened. With that, I was on the last day of the challenge. I had to earn 8 platinum trophies in a short amount of time, and I felt exhausted. Since I had far surpassed my expectations of getting at least 5 platinums, I felt like that was enough, and I could take this last day to rest. After going for a run that morning, I just laid in bed and read manga. Then, after about 2 hours of doing that, I thought about it, and since I had told myself I will play through all 7 days, I decided to play one final game instead of just stopping with the challenge. Spirit of the North was visually pleasing and very relaxing. It reminded me a lot of a game I had played on Switch a few years ago called The First Tree. You play as a fox running through beautiful environments, trying to banish the darkness while finding sages who succumb to it, and putting them to rest by bringing their staff to their corpses. This game was breathtaking. My favorite area was the spirit world. I loved being able to run in water and greet all the sages I had saved through my journey. Northern Lights. Master of Light. By the time I got this platinum, it was past 8 PM of the final day. There was no time to try and get another one, so I stopped there. When I started this challenge, I had 23 platinum trophies on my account, and by the end of it, I had 32. It's crazy to think that just a few months ago, I did a 30-day challenge in which I got 11 platinum trophies, yet this 1-week challenge I got 9. This made me really want to try the 30-day challenge again after getting some more practice on getting trophies. Thanks for sticking around until the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, it will mean a lot if you would like and subscribe. Have a great morning, day, or night, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.